So in addition to gas prices going up, you know, just all this inflation, food prices going up, potential food shortages, you know what else you need to worry about with all these global tensions and wars going on? Shortages of fertilizer. Yep, a lot of the U.S. imports fertilizers in for big farming corporations and also your everyday farming. So the big box stores you go to get fertilizer, you can expect shortages on that too. Let's talk about it. What's going on, fam? Dre over here at Set Apart Gardens, man, where we teaching beginners how to get back to the land. So if you're a beginner, this the place you need to be. So real quick, I know that, you know, we oftentimes like to focus on the food and the gas prices going up, you know, when it comes to economics. But one thing we also need to factor in with all this global tensions is fertilizer. The U.S. imports a lot of fertilizer, you know, for these big farms and different things like that. A lot of synthetic fertilizers come from overseas, so they're imports. So with the rising of costs in fuel and transportation, you can expect fertilizer costs to go up, and you can also expect the shortage of fertilizers as well. And this is so very important because there's a lot of people who watch my channel. You guys are backyard gardeners like myself. You guys, you know, grow victory gardens and kitchen gardens and different things like that. And if you're saying you want to be self-sufficient and grow your own food, that means you're going to need some sort of fertilizer, you know, for your plants, for your fruit trees, all this good stuff. But here's the thing. I know we can sit here and harp on the problem. Oh man, shortages are coming for everything, man. It seems like we can't win for losing. We can't catch a break. I got it. But today I want to talk to you about a solution. And I want to give you 5 ways that you can make fertilizer yourself at home that will feed your soil, that will feed your fruit trees, that will feed your plants, you know, and improve your overall soil health. So I'm not going to give y'all no fluff. Let's get into it. All right. So here's the thing. When it comes to soil, soil is just like you. It needs food. It needs water. You know, every living being, every living organism needs food and water. And your soil is no different. So healthy soil requires food to be fed into it, nutrients to be fed back. Your soil has nutrient needs, nitrogen, carbon, potassium, zinc, you name it. Just like we have mineral needs and nutrient needs in our body, your soil needs the same thing. So when you're talking about fertilizer, that's all fertilizer is. All fertilizer is something that is going to enhance your soil quality and feed your soil and feed your plants. So when we're talking about feeding our soil, what are some natural ways we can do it? The first way that you can make soil at home is with compost. What is compost? Compost is just a lot of organic matter, you know, combined together, and over time it breaks down and it becomes rich soil, and it becomes a rich source of food for your soil. So it breaks down and it includes a lot of microorganisms. Sometimes it has worms in it, worm casings, all type of stuff, you know. But basically what happens is decomposing matter, organic matter is decomposing, and it turns into rich food for soil, but it also turns into soil eventually. So compost, start yourself a compost pile right now. So I'm gonna give you the easiest way real quick. Let me grab something. So me and my wife, we do a lot of juicing, right? We eat a lot of produce. So you got banana peels in here. You got leftover juicing matter from our juicer. You know, whether we cut the scraps from our fruits when we're juicing it. Also, we drink coffee every day and we eat eggs every day, right? We got chickens where we get plenty of eggs from. So we keep the eggshells, the coffee grounds that we drink coffee every day. Once we're done with it, we don't throw the coffee grounds away. We put them in these bags and we save them. Same thing with your coffee filter. You don't throw that away. I know it's like, oh, it's paper, I can just throw it away. No, that's a source of carbon. Your eggshells is calcium, right? Your coffee grounds, nitrogen. Your coffee filters, carbon. All things that can feed your soil. Same thing with these fruits. So in order to start a compost pile, right? Let's say you got grass clippings that you know what I'm saying, that you raked up and stuff after you cut your grass. Let's say you got leaves. Put all that in the pile. Put all that in the pile and add organic matter like this to it. I wouldn't recommend adding meat or anything like that, meat or dairy. Only produce, like plant produce, fruits, vegetables, different things like that. Leftover watermelon rind, all that type of stuff. If it's vegetables or fruit, organic matter, you can add that to it. And then you want to water it in. And every so often you want to turn it over, meaning you want to get in there with a shovel or a pitchfork and you want to turn over that compost pile and continue to water. And over time it's going to break down and decompose, and it's going to become rich compost that you can add to your soil, that you can add to your raised bed, that you can add to your fruit trees, and it's going to feed your fruit trees. So that's the first way to make fertilizer at home, is to start yourself a compost pile. No matter how big you want to start it or how small you want to start it. My compost pile, I put it on the edge of my wood line. Like, I have a lazy composting system. You know, all of my organic matter, I just dump it at the edge of my wood line. Pine shavings, produce, organic matter, different things like that. You know, if an animal dies on your property, throw it in your compost pile. It'll break down. But mainly try to keep it at organic matter and water it, and then put like a tarp over it so that way it can heat, because heat and moisture is what allows it to break down, more effectively over time. And like I say, you could do it in a tote bin, you could do it in a 5-gallon bucket, you could do it on the edge of your wood line and just a regular pile, or you could buy one of these fancy composting things as well. It don't matter how you do it, just do it. But that's the first way that you can make fertilizer at home, is with compost. All right, the second way you can make fertilizer is by soaking your grass clippings in water. And what this does is, when you soak your grass clippings that you just freshly cut, you soak them in water, you let them sit for a few days to a few weeks. All that nitrogen that is in those grass clippings is going to go into the water. It's going to become concentrated, and you could take that and you could pour that directly over your plants, and it'll give it a nitrogen boost. Because like I said, when it comes to overall soil health and plant health, it needs to be fed, and it needs to be fed the nutrients. You have certain crops that have certain nutritional needs. So say for instance, you want to grow corn. Corn is going to need a lot of nitrogen. So if you take those grass clippings and you soak them, and you come up with a concentrate, a grass clipping tea concentrate, whatever you want to name it, and then you use that and you pour that over your corn, that's going to give it a nitrogen boost, and it's going to help. But that's the second way you can make fertilizer at home. You could, like I said, you could do this in a 5-gallon bucket. You could do this on a small scale or on the large scale, but it's going to give a nitrogen boost back into your plants and into your soil. Alrighty, the third way that you can make fertilizer at home is with livestock manure. So let's say you got chickens, if you raise rabbits, if you got sheep, goats, if you have turkeys, any type of livestock, you can take their poop and you can use it as fertilizer. So you have what you call hot and cold manures, right? So manure is basically animal poop, and hot manure is certain animals produce a manure that is more rich in ammonia and different things that can be harmful if you add it directly onto your plants. It can burn it. And then you have cold manure, which is manure you could take straight from the livestock or the animal, and you could put it directly in your ground or on your plants, and it won't burn it, it'll fertilize it. So chickens produce hot manure. You know what I'm saying? Turkeys, hot manure. You have other type of livestock as well, I can't think of them off the top of my head, that produce hot manure. So you want to be careful. So when it comes to like chicken manure, that it's a hot manure, just add that to your compost pile, and it'll break down over time, and to the point to where it can be used in your compost, and it'll add that benefit to your compost. But you have things like rabbit, goat, sheep. Those type of manures you could take straight from the animal, straight from wherever they poop at, and then you can add it straight into your garden, and it'll be a fertilizer right then and there, and it'll add so many nutritional needs. It's a lot of minerals and stuff that it provides just from those manures and things like that. But rabbit manure, sheep and goat manure. I want to say cattle manure is a hot manure as well. You probably got to give it time to cure. Same thing with horses maybe, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody correct me in the comments if cow and horse manure is a hot manure or a cold manure. But that's the third way to make fertilizer at home. So let's just say you got a backyard and you got a backyard garden. Consider going and buying and getting some chickens and adding some chickens to your garden, and adding some chickens to your backyard, and then you could use their poop and you could put it in your compost pile, and then from the compost pile, as it breaks down, you can add it into your garden. All right, so the fourth fertilizer you can make at home is eggshells, right? And eggshells provide a source of calcium into your plants, and it helps things like tomatoes and peppers. It helps it, if they have those if they have like little branches that's rotting on them, that calcium helps them. But calcium, and like I say, one of the main places you can get this calcium from is eggshells. It's organic. How many of y'all eat eggs by a raise of hand every day? I eat eggs every day. My kids eat eggs every day. We got 2 flocks of chickens that provide us plenty of eggs. So every day I'm making an omelet, scrambled eggs, or we making cakes or whatever. I take those eggshells, I don't throw them away, right? I put them in a Ziploc bag like y'all just saw me do. And then what I'll do is once I collect a bunch of them, I'll go ahead and put them in my air fryer or my oven. But the air fryer is more effective. I'm putting y'all down. I'm giving y'all some tips now. I'm giving free game. I put them in the air fryer, put it on there for 15 minutes. Let them get all crispy and stuff like that. Take them out the air fryer, and then what I'll do is I'll put them in a food processor, blend them up, crunch them up into a fine powder, and then you can sprinkle that in your raised beds. You can sprinkle that directly into your soil. You can sprinkle that into your compost pile, and it adds a source of calcium. So that's the 4th fertilizer that you can make at home organically, is with eggshells, and it provides calcium. So the 5th fertilizer you can make at home, all natural, is going to be a compost tea. Now I just started doing my own compost tea, and it's been working. You know, I had two big old totes or whatever you want to call them, you know, with compost tea. But basically the way you do that is get you some compost that's already broken down, and you can go buy some compost from the store, however you want to do it. But I already had compost laying around. So what I did is I took the compost, I put it on the bottom layer of that tote, and then I filled it up with water, and then I added other organic matter, you know, like different fruits and vegetables that was going bad. The same thing that I would add to my compost pile, I just added it into that tea, and then I put a cover on it. Sometimes I leave it uncovered, and I just let the sun go ahead and, you know what I'm saying, heat it up into a tea, and I let it sit for a few weeks. And then what I'll do is I'll take it, you know, put it in a bucket, and I'll just pour it directly onto my plants, or I pour it directly into my soil. And this fertilizer is an enhancer. So this isn't something that you just want to do by itself, this compost tea, this fertilizer tea. You want to do this in addition to your compost. You want to do this in addition to, you know, the other fertilizing methods that you're using. But it's going to enhance that. It's going to add even more and enhance the microbial life and all the microorganisms that's already existing in your soil, in your ecosystem. This is just going to be a booster. But nevertheless, it's still very, very good. You know, it's still a good fertilizer. It's going to work pretty good. Now, I do have 2 honorable mentions. The first honorable mention is going to be wood ash. So let's say we're under a burn ban right now, but let's say you aren't under a burn ban and you got a lot of brush and stuff that you're burning up, or you got burn barrels. Take that wood ash. That wood ash has a lot of different minerals and stuff that you can add to your soil, and it'll help out your soil. So that's the honorable mention number 1. And the second honorable mention for all my fishermen out there, let's say you like to go fishing, you catch fish. When you bring those fish home and you clean them, the guts, the heads, everything that you don't eat, even the scales, take all of that and bury it. Or either put it in your compost pile, or you could bury it in your soil, in your garden, or in your raised bed, or in your compost pile, and it'll break down. And then there you got fish fertilizer, fish emotion. You know, that's coming straight from the fish. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, those are the 2 honorable mentions. Those are 5 organic fertilizers that you can make at home by yourself. It's important that we start back with healthy organic fertilizers for our garden and stop all this synthetic crap, because when it comes to the synthetic fertilizers, they're more so to feed the plant, not the soil. So yeah, your plants might be doing good, but your soil health is deteriorating season after season. If you want to have a healthy ecosystem, a healthy garden, you want to make sure your soil is fed. You want to make sure your soil is healthy. You got good dirt to plant in, because we might not always be able to go to the store and buy bags of soil. Sometimes, you know, it might be a severe shortage, or, you know, God forbid, it's a situation where stuff hits the fan and you can't go to the stores, and you got to just plant in the ground. You want to make sure you know how to improve your soil health that's in the ground, and know how to fertilize your soil that's already existing in your ground, and amend it, add whatever amendments need to be amended, or do whatever methods that are, you know what I'm saying, creative, that you can still grow food. Because the overall goal is self-sufficiency, not dependency on the system, on their big box stores, on buying these synthetic fertilizers and the bags of soil and all that type of stuff. Again, while we got it, go ahead and get it. Stock up on it too right now. If you now that you know it's going to be shortages, go ahead and stock up on some of your favorite fertilizers, but also learn how to make some of these natural fertilizers that I just named, and I guarantee you, your garden will thank you, your soil will thank you, and you will thank yourself when you get to eat the fruits of your labor. All right, so if you made it to the end of the video, I appreciate it. Please make sure y'all hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe to the channel. Man, if you want like videos like this, you want them first before YouTube even gets them. If you want behind the scenes content, you know, in-depth strategies as far as starting a garden, livestock, growing livestock, processing livestock, all of these type of things, monetizing your homestead, consider joining my Set Apart tribe. It's only $15 a month, but with that you get a whole bunch of those benefits that I just named. We also do a weekly call. Every workshop we do on the land is going to be live streamed to the tribe, so you'll have access to all of that. And we have courses in the tribe as well that you can go and take and you can learn from. We're going to start doing giveaways in the tribe soon as well. But yeah, I appreciate that, man. But here's the thing, I want to leave you with this. Understand, when it comes to self-sufficiency, gardening, homesteading, this is a marathon. It isn't a sprint. You got to think long term. Let's play the long game. So when we're talking about soil health, it's not just soil health for this growing season or that growing season. It's about soil health long term. Will you still be able to plant into this dirt 10, 15 years down the line? You see what I'm saying? Will this soil be healthy enough? Are you feeding the soil that you're depleting year after year by putting seeds in the ground and producing from those seeds? Are you putting stuff back into that soil to feed it so come back next year it'll be healthy and in good condition? We got to think about that. It's long term. It's not short term. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And like I always say, if you give somebody the power to feed you, you're also giving that person the power to starve you. See y'all on the next video.
Moms over Baghdad really ain't that bad. Little wiretap, yes, yes. Little dodge in the IRS. Little haven from the tax man.